1 minute.
Are we live?
Go live. Ready?
They changed the interface.
Morning all. Welcome to Streaming Sources Live here in Oxford. Just going to pass you over to the host. Over to you.
Hello there. I'm Ben Emily Jones. I've organised this. I'm the organiser of this event, Dreaming Sources. If you're close to Oxford, you've still got time to get here and see the speakers. We've got Marcus Allen. We've got Mark Devlin. We've got a video by Ellis Taylor. And we have
somebody else.
I just had a courtroom moment. I'm sorry. Yeah, we've got an awful lot to come today. We've got great food here and great company, and so it's really having a good time. Yesterday was fantastic, and today's going to be even better.
Okay. All right, folks. Enjoy the show. See you in a bit. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Alright then, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you were here yesterday? And some of you just turned up for one day. Yesterday was fantastic, and I thank all of you who've come back after yesterday. And thanks to all of you also who've come here for just this one day. And hello to everyone. Yeah, Tina's just reminded me. Hello to everyone in the internet land, because we are live streaming on YouTube. So I better be careful what I say, because we don't want to get done for hate speech. So if you want coffee, make sure it's a white one. Okay. Is that all right? Yeah. Yeah, so dinner today, well, firstly, they use some great faggots here. Sorry. Dino, you just got a strike on the channel. So, yeah, well, it's really, really great to have you back here. We can start with the first speaker at the moment, with Marcus Allen. So I've got some notes here. So I've been preparing everything quickly, so I have time to get in order. As always, this is a working pub. And so it's if you want any food or drink, the best thing to do is get it from here. And they have a fantastic service here, actually. You can get cups of coffee and tea, obviously alcoholic beverages when the licensing period begins, which is pretty soon. And the dinner. Now, we have a special menu called the Dreaming Saucers menu, which the pub are very wonderfully providing for us. But it will not be actually served until 3 p.m. From 12 to 3, they'll have their usual Sunday roast. If you like a Sunday roast, that's great. You can order a Sunday roast. There's no official lunch time here. I've split the day into half-hour breaks. So you have one moment. It's into half-hour breaks. And you can organise your own meal times around that. And you can order things during the break. They will bring food up to you, which you can enjoy at any time. If you purchase food or drink outside the building, you can't bring it in. So if you go to the cafe, that's fine, but don't bring your cup of coffee back here. It's pub rules. Now, there's a lot of merchandise here. You can buy copies of Marx's magazine, which you're going to talk about, Nexus, which I am a subscriber to, and I very much recommend. You can buy copies of my book, Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, and its sequel, Roswell Revealed. You can buy copies of this, some of Neil Geddes Ward's artwork. We'll be hearing from Neil later today. And many, many other things as well. And there's some crisps at the back. Yeah, they're free. There's some space crisps and some flying saucer sweeties and things like that. So there's some part of the novelty.
Reptilian delicacies.
Oh, we have lizards. Yes, we have lizards. So, and also, do buy some, if you like these sort of conferences, I cannot recommend the UFO Truth Magazine conference. It's on the 15th to 16th of September. You can, more details, Shantino at the back. I really do recommend going to that. It's in Holmfirth, West Yorkshire. And there'll be some amazing, great international speakers. It's like this event, but writ large. So, like, what we have today, Oh, yeah, sorry. Toilets are over there. Some people were asking about that. If you have any rubbish, we had a bit of a rubbish problem yesterday, which is partly my own fault because I didn't mention this to you. There is actually a rubbish bag. It's on the bar there at the back. It's that blue one. Any old rubbish you got, just chuck it in there. So we have today, it's a very interesting list of speakers. We're going to start with Marcus Allen. Then we have Mark Devlin, who will be on at 1:30. And then at 3 o'clock, we have Neil Getsport, who's been our technical advisor, and not an advisor, technical everything. And he's going to be doing a speech as well. After that, well, we're going to have to dig a knife into that wonderful cake that Sophie the Porter's Poets provided, which you can see at the back there. And then we're going on the Oxford Truth Tour. And I'll give you instructions on the Truth Tour later today. We're going to begin now with our first speaker, Marcus Allen. Now, in 1969, those of you who are around who are old enough to remember this, and you will know that one of the biggest events in the media was the landing of astronauts on the moon. We saw men walking on the moon. It's one of the greatest events. It's been described as the greatest event in human history. But is everything as it seems? Will we told the truth about what happened? Marcus Allen will be informing us of that. So put your hands together for Marcus Allen.
Thank you. What a delightful start. I hope it's as enthusiastic at the end, because I'm going to deconstruct, as Ben said, one of the 20th century's greatest events as a non-event. What we saw was not what we were told it was. But you can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time. And you can fool all the people all the time. If your special effects budget is big enough. So we're going to have a look at the special effects budget. It's not the budget, the special effects. Before we do that, as Ben said, I'm the UK distributor for Nexus magazine. And there are two types of people in the world. Those who read Nexus and those who are about to. We have over on the stand some extra copies. This is the latest issue. There are previous issues. You may not recognize this cover if you've been a Nexus subscriber and reader for a long time, because we changed the cover. It's an Australian magazine. We distribute and print it from the UK. It's now available in America as well. So anybody listening from America, go to Barnes & Noble, you'll find it there. End of commercial. Because I only do this for the money. As many people say. I wish it was for the money. This is not the way to get rich, guys. This is the way to find interesting things down the rabbit hole. Okay. You may recall a gentleman by the name of Carl Sagan, who was a very good communicator, and he popularized one particular phrase: extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, which is a very sensible thing to say. So what we're going to look at is some of the claims for the moon landings, because in the moon landings there are many strange anomalies, inconsistencies, and unexplained details. We're going to be having a look at some of that. Because if this was the event we're told it was, it should stand up to scrutiny. It should be able to stand up to any investigation. Let's start with the investigation. This is where it completed. National Geographic, the world's top-selling magazine at the time. This is the edition from December 1969. Now, to many people, this is all going to be history. This is all something that happened 50-odd years ago. December this year is the 50th anniversary of Apollo 8, which orbited the moon, we're told. And they read the book of Genesis, and we're upset. And you've got this phenomena where we're told, we're being forever told that Apollo was the great start of the space race. Going back to 1961, The date on that is April the 21st, 1961. Life magazine, another American publication, with on the left Yuri Gagarin, on the right Nikita Khrushchev, who was then president of the Soviet Union, which is now a defunct country. It's called the Russian Federation. But it was that event, Yuri Gagarin, always in the room, which spurred America, in the shape of President John Kennedy, to make his famous announcement in May 1961, 6 weeks later, 6 weeks after Gagarin had done his orbit. Kennedy had to come up with something. He'd only been president for 4 months at that point. His inauguration was in January 1961. Young, dynamic, charismatic president. And Russia was showing up something wrong. So he had to make an announcement. We're going to land a man on the moon before the decade is out and return him safely to the Earth. That was his promise. Of course, 2 and a bit years later, Kennedy was assassinated. We still don't know who by, but he was assassinated. But at the time he made the announcement, 1961, a lot was going on in America and around the world. We had the so-called space race. There was no race, it was a media invention, so we made it, basically. America and the Soviet Union at the time were cooperating. You may recall Operation Paperclip, where it's called Operation Paperclip because a new description of the Nazi scientists imported into America had a new CV paperclipped onto their visa application, saying that they were good people and they weren't Nazis. They were Nazis. Werner von Braun was a major in the SS. Hermann Oberth was a senior scientist. They were all Germans who got America to the moon. They were all Nazi Germans. Then you have the Cuban Missile Crisis in October '62. Then you have President Kennedy getting shot. You have the Vietnam War ramping up. Kennedy wanted America out of Vietnam. It's interesting that a year after his assassination, the number of American troops in Vietnam had increased 10 times under President Johnson. The student riots were rioting against the Vietnam War because they didn't want America living. 58,000 Americans died as a result of this ridiculous war. A piece of trivia, by the way, the Vietnam War was started as a result of what's known as the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where American naval forces were attacked by North Vietnamese torpedo boats. There were no torpedo boats, there was no attack, it was a complete misreading of the radar signals. But it was too late. 58,000 Americans would die, 3 million North Vietnamese would die. That is the price of incompetence at high level. The commander of the American fleet at Gulf of Tonkin was a fellow named Admiral George Morrison. His son was Jim Morrison of the Doors. If you check out Laurel Canyon is a road north of Los Angeles, where many of the musicians, the early musicians in the 1960s, Frank Zappa was one of the most prominent musicians, lived. It's very close to where the murders took place, Sharon Tate, and there was also on Laurel Canyon a place called Lookout Mountain Studios. It's now a private house owned by Jared Leto, the actor and musician. But it was prior to that the main US Air Force studios, film studios, where a considerable amount of this information came from. Anyway, that's where we're going to go. We're going to go to the moon. This is a photograph taken in the mid-1950s. It's one of the best series of lunar photographs taken by the Nimitz Telescope. And at that place there, that's where Apollo 11 was alleged to have landed. But in order to land on the moon, they had to have a space program to do it. It started with Mercury, which was 1 man in space, Gemini, 2 men in space, Apollo 3 men, Skylab, a little bit more, the shuttle, flying up to 7 astronauts at a time, the ISS, the International Space Station. Current program is the Orion program. Now, how many people here know what the X-37B is?
It's a bus, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the X-37B. Anybody know where it goes to? Flies in space. Its last mission was 712 days. Nobody knows where it goes. They're not telling us. The previous mission to that was 18 months. It could go to Mars. I don't know if it does or not. Nobody knows where it goes. So let's not have any idea here that people can't keep secrets if they need to. Of course they can. Apollo needed a big piece of kit to get to the moon, the big rocket, the one on the left is the Saturn V rocket. The Gemini mission, 2 men, and the Mercury mission, 1 man. That's small. At the time Kennedy made his announcement in 1961, only Alan Shepard had been into space, and he'd only gone up 60 miles and come straight down again. America were not doing very well in space. The Gemini mission was launched, orbited the Earth, and then came down. And the reason I'm querying Apollo is actually where it went. The reason is Apollo is the only mission we know of that is promoted as having gone beyond low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is 200 miles up. Not very far. The atmosphere, the Earth's atmosphere ends 60 miles up. That's not very far either. So Earth orbit, where the space station is, where the space shuttle goes, 200 miles above the Earth's surface. This is the Gemini mission. Small capsule landed in the Pacific. You've got 2 astronauts getting out. You've got 2 frontmen who've swum over from the helicopter. But what's this? It looks like a direction antenna. So in case it landed a long way, of course they could find it. Wouldn't it have got burnt off? It comes back through the atmosphere. It's a bit of an anomaly. There is supposed to be an explanation for this, but it just is weird. It's the start of how things are circled money 2 1/4 inch square negative transparency. Bottom left is Neil Armstrong with his camera mounted on his chest. Because there's no viewfinder in this camera. You couldn't, if you're wearing a spacesuit, you couldn't get your head down in the middle picture. That's where the viewfinder is, on top of the camera. The right-hand picture is Al Shepard with his camera attached. So they had no viewfinder. Okay, that's not a problem, because they could point the camera with their body. And these photographs we'll look at later were all taken under those conditions, with no viewfinder. Manual control of every feature on the camera except the film advance. Alright. I've been filming several documentaries, and one of them was History Channel, made about 10 years ago, and they borrowed the replica Hasselblad from Hasselblad UK, so I took the opportunity to photograph it. Top left-hand picture shows the film count, the only means you will have of knowing if you've taken a photograph. Because normally when you click it, what you hear is the mirror going up. There's no mirror, because they took the viewfinder away. So how do you know if you're taking a photograph? Bottom left, the little black square on the front of the camera is the shutter button. But you can't see that from inside a spacesuit. So how do you know you pressed it? Moving on. The only way you could set the exposure is that little chart on the left-hand side on the top of the camera. And on the lens, that's the shutter speed. This may all sound extremely historical and a bit 20th century, but this is what they used. It is not a point-and-shoot camera. Hasselblad is a very good camera. It is not a point-and-shoot camera. It's not a camera you can just whip out, oh, pictures. It doesn't do that. You have to set the exposure, set the aperture, and focus it through the viewfinder, which you haven't got. So how do you know you've got it in focus? The focus is not automatic. On the right, I use those purely to illustrate one thing which we'll come to later. Behind here is a fence. What that shows is the position of the camera that takes the picture. The top picture there was taken at eye level, and the bottom picture is taken at chest level. What it shows is how the horizon behind the picture will change. You take a picture at eye level, the horizon is higher, apparently higher. It's nothing to do with, this is basic optics. You get down here, the horizon appears to go lower. You take a picture from a high level, the horizon appears higher. So if you're going to go to the moon, you've got to practice. You've got to do simulations. And these are the simulations that simulated lunar surface on the bottom left. The globe that was made, it's in San Francisco now, you can see it. Also, sectors of the lunar surface were constructed from previously taken photographs on unmanned craft. We knew what the thing looked like. The top photograph here shows the scale of some of these simulated events. In Virginia is this contraption here, which was supposed to decide what it would be like to land in the lunar module, because on the Earth, on the moon, the gravity is much less than it is on Earth. This is all done quite openly. It's a very secret about it. But forget Area 51, forget some secret film studio. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about here. And also, forget no stars in the sky as an explanation. Forget waving flags. They weren't stupid enough to leave doors open, for goodness sake. It's a good thing that the detractors of what I'm saying here cannot be done. I don't say anything about the stars, I say nothing about waving flags. I will look at odd shadow angles, not because there are two light sources. There's only one light source, allegedly the sun. Anyway, let's get off to the moon. This is a Sun-5 rocket, 3,000 tons. 99% of that weight was fuel to get the thing off the ground. And off it went, and as soon as it cleared the tower on the left there, communication switched from Florida to Texas, from Cape Canaveral, or Cape Kennedy as it became known later, to the control centers at Johnson Space Center, named after President Johnson, at Houston in Texas. So from the moment it leaves that particular location, and you see it disappearing off into the sky, and 2 minutes after it launches, it's gone. You can't see it anymore, it's 50 miles away. The only source of information we have is NASA. There's no independent verification of anything that happened after launch until splashdown when the parachutes opened and the capsule landed back in the Pacific. Now, in my view, NASA stands for Never a Straight Answer, as opposed to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is the official title. But it could also stand for the National Academy of Space Actors, for numerous anomalies and scams abound. So you can have a lot of fun with the name. By the way, that Never a Straight Answer came from the New York Times, who were trying to get answers. Getting into space, you're going to go up against the temperature. What's the temperature of space? Straight answer came from the New York Times, who were trying to get answers. Getting into space, you're going to go up against the temperature. What's the temperature of space? There's no temperature in space. There's no temperature in space. There's nothing in space to have a temperature until you put something there, like the Earth or the Moon or a spacecraft, and then it will have a temperature. And what is that temperature? Sunlight. It's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. There's no sunlight. It's in shadow. If it's in shadow, it's very cold because there's no atmosphere. There's pretty hot. There's no sunlight. In shadow. If it's in shadow, it's very cold because there's no atmosphere. So this idea that they landed on the moon at an early morning This idea that they landed on the moon at an early morning, which they did, the sun was low over the horizon, therefore it was relatively warm, is nonsense. In space, it's hot or it's cold. It's plus 250, it's minus 250. End of story. That's space. What's the pressure in space? There's no pressure. It's a vacuum. So humans who can't survive in a vacuum, because our blood would boil, or the gases in our blood would tend to come out like when you open a can of soft drink, in space we're going to take our own pressure. So we get space. Radiation. Radiation in space, or you shake it up, the thing will spurt everywhere. That's the pressure being released. In space, we've got to take our own pressure. So we have a spacesuit. Radiation. Radiation in space is lethal to humans because it comes from the sun. Those black dots on the sun, those are the solar flares that we hear about. They're powerful enough to get through the Earth's atmosphere and knock out electrical power grids. It comes in the wrong direction. But we're protected on Earth from the radiation that comes in the wrong direction. We're protected on Earth from radiation in space. You've got solar particle events from the sun, you've got galactic radiation in space. You've got solar particle events from the sun, you've got galactic cosmic rays from deep space. Unpleasant stuff. Fortunately, here on Earth, we're protected by the Earth's magnetic field, which forms a shield to trap these protons and electrons whacking down on us. What they do is they alter the DNA. That's the problem. So we have to protect against it. You may recall if you went through airport security a few years ago, and you were carrying a film camera. Remember film cameras? Not digital cameras. These protons and electrons whack down on us. What they do is alter the DNA. That's the problem. So we have to protect against it. You may recall if you went through airport security a few years, film cameras, you always told, give the guy on the, get it hand searched. But don't put your camera through the X-ray machine, because it'll fog the film. Let it be hand searched. And that was good advice, because film is affected by radiation. Of course it is. That's what comes through the lens. Radiation. Visible light. This is the photograph, Earthrise, which is later. This is the photograph, Earthrise, which eventually started the whole ecological movement. You can suddenly see how fragile our beautiful planet is in space. Simply started the whole ecological movement because we can suddenly see how fragile our beautiful planet is in space. And this is the moon, we're told. To the top of exposure. It's very easy to do. Now, if you're going to land on the moon, you've got to have your spacecraft to do it in. And this is the position in which Neil Armstrong, who landed the craft, this is the position in which Neil Armstrong, who landed the craft, annually, don't forget, he was between a computer alarm, 1202 alarm, a computer, which meant that he had to take over manual control and land the craft by hand. Here are our heroes. On the left, we have manual control and land the craft by hand. Here are our heroes. On the left, Buzz Aldrin. On the right, Neil Armstrong. Buzz Aldrin, so called because his sister couldn't pronounce the word brother, so she called Buzz Aldrin. On the right, Neil Armstrong. Buzz Aldrin, so called because his sister couldn't pronounce the word brother, so she called him Buzz. And the word stuck, and that is why Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story is called Buzz Lightyear, because his name is Dear Buzz Aldrin, who's still alive, I think. Neil Armstrong died in 2012. Neil Armstrong died in 2012. Neil Armstrong is probably the most famous American of the 20th century. Where is he buried? Arlington National Cemetery, wouldn't you? That's where prominent Americans are buried, presidents and such. No, he's buried at sea off the coast of Florida. He's probably the most famous American of the 20th century. Where is he buried? Arlington National Cemetery, you would expect, wouldn't you? That's where prominent Americans are buried, presidents and such. No, he's buried at sea off the coast of Florida. He's a naval pilot, so maybe it's reasonable that he should be buried at sea. It seems a bit odd, but maybe I'm just being a bit cynical here. Without a great deal of protection. But if I do appear cynical and sarcastic, it's because I am. We have been fooled. Humans cannot travel beyond the radiation belt which protects us on Earth without a great deal of protection. Come to what happened later. Right, we're on the moon. We're going to get out of our spacecraft. This is Neil Armstrong taking the photograph of Buzz Aldrin staggering and crawling out from the Apollo 11. Right. And here he is a bit further down. Notice how well lit he is. Notice how beautifully illuminated. Now, Neil Armstrong staggering, crawling out from the Apollo 11. And here he is a bit further down. Notice how well lit he is. Notice how beautifully illuminated. Now, Neil Armstrong's taking the photograph, obviously got bored stiff watching Buzz staggering out, so he decided to photograph the rubbish bag. This is the sequence of photographs. It's not my choice. We'll show you the exact sequence later. Photograph the rubbish bag and where's the blast crater? This is a 10,000-pound thrust rocket here, which has slowed the craft down from its orbit speed of 4,500 miles an hour. Photograph the rubbish bag and where's the blast crater? This is a 10,000-pound thrust rocket here, which has slowed the craft down from its orbit speed of 4,500 miles an hour. Faster than any aircraft can travel even today on Earth. So you've got to have a rocket to slow you down. 10,000 pounds of thrust, that's quite a powerful rocket. Oh, I hear you saying, no, they slowed it down, so it wasn't 10,000 pounds, it was about 2,000 pounds. And it was coming out of the nozzle here, which has an area of about 1,000 square inches, just over 30 inches in diameter. Therefore, it was only about 1 pound per square inch on the lunar surface. Rubbish. If you're coming down in a helicopter, about 1 pound per square inch on the lunar surface. Rubbish. If you're coming down in a helicopter, would you expect the helicopter to turn its power off as it came near to the ground? No, this would produce a fairly powerful blast, which should shift all this dust stuff here. You can see that it's fairly dusty. A blast, which should shift all this dust stuff here. You can see that it's fairly dusty, because we'll see footprints later. But there's no blast crater. There's no indication that this thing was working. That's to make sure. This is one of the most ridiculous photographs I have ever seen. He's supposedly on the moon. No atmosphere. He's in his spacesuit, which is cumbersome, difficult to move in. You can't see where he's put his feet. He's on a platform about 10 foot above the surface of the moon. He's going to come down the ladder, which he can't see from where he is. He can't see inside his spacesuit. His right foot is not touching the ladder, and his left foot has been kicked out. Would you come off your garage roof down a 10-foot ladder like that? Of course you wouldn't. You'd be looking to make sure that you've got a proper foothold before you move at all. And there's a big difference on here that there is padding on the ladder. His foot won't even fit on the ladder. Not very comfortable. This is as if he's been done this maneuver about 100 times in a simulation, which he did. So secret about any of that. He did simulations. He's done about 100 of them. And if assuming it's Buzz Aldrin, because we can't see his face, we only see his nameplate, which says E. Aldrin, Edwin Aldrin. We see him do that. He's probably doing it. He's done it 100 times. And he's now just saying, look, guys, I can really fool around on the top of this ladder. Because when you do a debrief After a simulation, you photographed it, you filmed it, you sit down, watch the film, look at the photographs and say, that's a good place to go. Don't do that again, you fall. That's what a debrief is. This is a debrief. This is not taken on the lunar surface. So anybody can prove me wrong, please do so. Here he is again, only his right foot on the planet. It's not overexposed. This is the point. It's not overexposed. The directly illuminated surface of the moon is not overexposed. And yet, he's lit up like a Christmas tree. Where's all that light coming from? Oh, it's the special reflected surface of the moon. Rubbish! The moon has a reflectivity of 8%. So 8% of the light hitting it from the sun, assuming it's the sun, 8% is reflected. That's why we can look at the moon up in the sky at night. We see it occasionally during the day. But you can't look at the sun because it's so bright. Very little light. So 8% is reflected. To say that 8% of the light reflected is enough to illuminate it, and for that to be recorded on the Ektachrome film that was used in the camera, is photographically rubbish. It won't happen. There's another light source which we won't tell about. Standing in the foot panel top, beautifully illuminated, not overexposed. It's on a certainly light source just to the right of the camera position. Those are the 8 photographs in sequence, and they were taken from the website I use was the Lunar and Planetary Institute website. There are about 4 or 5 different websites you can go to get Apollo photographs. And that's what they'll look like when you look at them. Notice the numbers. AS11, I don't know what AS actually stands for. We assume it stands for Apollo Saturn. But it could well stand for Apollo Simulation. In this case, mission Apollo 11. Magazine 40 is just a number that is randomly chosen. There aren't 40 magazines of photographs. This happens to be the one which shows the lunar moonwalk, 121 photographs on it. And that's just a randomly chosen number. But they're all in sequence. So those 8 photographs I showed, by the way, they took 3 minutes to photograph. Neil Armstrong had no viewfinder. And you may recall, if you're interested in the subject, that the company, NVIDIA, who made graphic processing units, a big company in America, have a rather interesting PR company. They promoted a crop circle to promote one of their previous GPUs, and they developed a new one, it's called Maxwell. And they emailed me and said, would I take part in their program that they were making? And I said, well, that sounds interesting. Let's do it. See what you're going to be doing. And they told me what they were doing. They said, but because it's such a new piece of kit, you've got to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So you don't talk about it, you show it to me. I thought, I'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. It's a good thing I didn't, because it would have given them legal authority to shut me up for 3 years. So that failed. Anyway, the video made the program, and they showed that they could recreate the photograph. In fact, it's that one they used for those 2. And they could do it in a computer, and they showed that it was all quite legitimate because there was sufficient illumination from the lunar surface and from Neil Armstrong with his white spacesuit would reflect my image. What they didn't know was there are people around who are sufficiently computer savvy to work out what the reflectivity the video were using on the lunar surface, and it was 5 times the actual figure. So of course it would illuminate. And Neil Armstrong in his spacesuit is not a big enough area to provide sufficient illumination. Otherwise, you get photographic assistants wearing white coats and wandering around, providing enough fill-in light. It just doesn't add up. Okay, footprint on the moon. We've been there. We've got a footprint. How do you take the photograph? Camera on his chest. Did he bend forward? How did he know he get the picture correctly? How did he know he focused it correctly, got the right exposure. He only took one photograph. Photographic technique would be to take lots and lots and lots of pictures. No, one, that's enough. Got it right first time. It's rubbish, complete nonsense, fabrication. This is allegedly the only photograph of Neil Armstrong on the moon. Have you ever seen a photograph of Neil Armstrong on the moon? First man on the moon, big hero? No. The story is that he refused to have his photograph taken on the moon. There was only one camera used, and he was using it, so take his picture. What about this picture is, look at the flag. American flag, fair enough, no problem with that. They were the guys who did it, they can stick the flag up there. Look at the position of the flag. Look at the horizon in relation to the flag. The horizon is virtually at the top of the flag. This would appear to be looking down on it, because here's another photograph. Look at the flag, look at the horizon. When we looked at that fence, this is taken from a much lower position. They landed in this Sea of Tranquility place, which is supposed to be a big flat area. So the horizon isn't going to change very much. And yet we've got a photograph here with the flag in a very different position to this one, which indicates it was taken by a different camera position. What's the view on that? Again, this is the one-legged astronaut. We've got his footprint there, but no footprint before it or after it. So it's popping around there, quite possible. Two astronauts on the lunar surface at the same time. This is fine. It's no longer see later where it's not. This was taken from a film camera set to run at 1 frame per second the whole time they were out on the lunar surface for about 2 hours. Later acquisition camera was called 60mm film camera. So these are the two astronauts, Aldrin and Armstrong. Why are their shadow lengths different? Why are the angles different? They landed apparently at the very early in the lunar morning, so the shadows were long, which would be good photographic rendition. These two here, one is 26 degrees, one is 35 degrees, but they landed when the sun was at 13 degrees. This is anomaly, which indicates that it was prefabricated, and this is probably the evidence for it. There's the flag, that's the TV camera, this is the film. This is a screenshot from the film, but the flag is in a different position. It's been twisted. Look at the shadow of the flag. The camera position is the same, virtually the same. They didn't touch the flag after they put it in the ground. So why is in the film the flag in a completely different position? Is that more ridiculous photographs here? So you're looking down on the astronaut, which means a very high camera position. And what are these things here? This is not lens flare. Hasselblad lenses do not flare like that. Can't see it. There is actually lens flare right there, which is the shape of the Hasselblad lens. It's a 6-sided shutter inside the lens. I don't know what these are, but they're not lens flare. So, anomalous, unexplained details. Here is the famous man on the moon photograph. And here is a postcard. This is what I had to go and buy when I started looking at this. A set of postcards. There it is. Notice it's slightly different. It just prettied up. It's a PR image. They put black in the top. Shut it down. Astronaut Edwin Aldrin's faceplate reflects astronaut Neil Armstrong and the lunar module. Yes, it may well be. Any good photographer would set that up. I don't know what these are. Ladies' handbags, maybe. Obviously having a party on the moon. And here is the pristine pad. Nobody's told us as they were going down. Couldn't see through the dust being kicked up. How did they take that photograph? Think of if you're on the moon and you understand where Earth is, it's more or less overhead from the equator, which is where they allegedly were. So how did they take this photograph? The Earth is at least 60 degrees above their position. The camera has an angular view of 45 degrees. So in order to get the photograph we see here, top, you would have to be leaning back so far, you'd be falling over. Have you tried leaning back at 45 degrees? No, you fall over. He's in a spacesuit, which is not very flexible anyway. Ah, you might say, he took the camera off his chest and pointed it up at the Earth. Maybe he did. But how did he know without a viewfinder to get the Earth? Anomaly. In many of the films of the Apollo missions, just Apollo 11, there are the test strips here, which indicate that it's a standard practice on film. You put it on the film camera. Note the date, the 11th of July, 1969, Apollo 11. Apollo 11 launched on July the 16th and landed on the moon, allegedly, on July 20th. But this is the film we saw earlier, taken from the lunar module. Hang on, what's going on? Why is the date 5 days before they launched? The photographer, we're told, is a chap called Giles. He actually did work for NASA. You can Google it, check his name. There's another one. There's lots of films. They're only about 2 minutes long, because that's all the magazine. So they have lots of different photographs, different films, all dated July 11. And if you do the same exercise for the other missions, you'll find exactly the same thing. A film that is dated a week before the mission took off. It's a very weird situation. Anyway, here are our heroes. Top one, Buzz Aldrin, bottom one, Neil Armstrong. And I put it in that format because this was taken from a book bought at the Kennedy Space Center. It's a NASA publication. And it reads, astronaut Edwin Aldrin inside the lunar module after his moonwalk. That is a lie. If you find the original of that photograph, it was taken before they even reached the moon. He's got his Masonic ring on here, and he's got his sunglasses in his pocket. It's a very comfortable piece of kit, and he's in a simulation rig. Same with the bottom one here, Neil Armstrong, inside the lunar module as it rested on the moon's surface. Now, what you see in here is a highlight of light. This is indicative of a flash gun being used. Didn't have a flash gun. But a highlight of light in the eye, if you look at any paparazzi photograph of any celebrity, you'll see a highlight of light in the eye. Because it indicates a flash gun is used to illuminate it. His teeth are also have a highlight there, which is the same thing. So this was taken under control conditions in the simulation rig before they even went. And it's a fabricated story we have been told. This is Apollo 12. And this just shows, it's difficult to see here, the bad retouching that was done where they tried to black out where there was behind it. On Apollo 12, we have another series of 8 photographs, 2 of which include astronauts, Al Bean in this case. We just look at the position of the horizon relative to the astronaut, taken by the same photographer, Conrad, big Conrad. Why is the horizon in such a different position? When he's virtually, it's beautifully composed. It's a sequence of 8 photographs. Again, you can see them online now. And if you look at the faceplate, the reflection of the faceplate, it's the sort of thing you would see. But then what's all this stuff on the left? There's strange lights again. Almost like their studio lights. Or there's some form of errant inclusion. They shouldn't have included it. Again, this would indicate that it was taken at the correct level, because his camera is on his chest, which indicates that that was where the photograph was taken from. But on this one, you're looking down on the camera, because it's a higher camera position. And what's going on in his helmet? All these reflections. Is it E.T. come hurtling by to say, oh, the hell are these? What are they doing here again? Mission? I don't know. Could just be internal reflections in the helmet, but it's an unexplained detail. NASA were not aggressive. NASA, when asked, by the way, to comment on some of these anomalies for a film that was being made by Sky Television during the interviews, they interviewed PR guru at NASA, the name of Brian Welch, and he was asked to comment on these anomalies identified in some of the photographs. And he said, we don't have time for this nitpicky claptrap. That's NASA's attitude towards anybody questioning. I use this one purely to show that there are crosshairs here. A crosshair will appear in virtually all the Hasselblad images, because there was a sheet inside the camera, a sheet of glass with crosshairs on it. Really knows why they used them, but good to identify it to be taken on the moon. Now here's a photograph showing a very weird shadow angle. The sun is behind the photographer, here's the photographer, why is the angle of the shadow? There, and this one here. Shadow behind the photographer is there, what's the shadow doing here? It's very weird. It's not two light sources, you wouldn't have that, you get two different shadows. Moving on to Apollo 14. Again, there's the sun. Very hard to photograph the sun in the photograph without it flaring out. We've got beautifully illuminated shadow side of the land. You can see all the detail you want to see. Where did that light come from? It wasn't the lunar surface. All right, this is the other photograph of two astronauts on the lunar surface. This is not okay. This is the Apollo 14, and notice the position of the flag. I'll just switch it over because that's how the flag is showing in this photograph. This is a photograph mounted at about that size at the Kennedy Space Center. It's taken from Alan Shepard's book called Moonshot, where he can hit a golf ball on the moon. You can't see a golf ball traveling across your field of vision. You can see a golf ball moving towards you because it's traveling too fast. But on the moon, magic happens. Alan Shepard, Ed Mitchell, two astronauts on the lunar surface. This is a photograph. There's a crosshair there. It's a montage, and it can be demonstrated to be a montage. The flag, you recall it was up here. It's nowhere near the position it was supposed to be at. There's the flag there, right next door to the lunar module. So what's it doing here? Move across. There are 5 images in this photograph. So when NASA were asked to explain this anomaly, this was supposedly a photograph that came out of Alan Shepard's book, they took it down as an insert. That's the TV image of the same scene. Moving on to Apollo 15, this is the Apollo 15 landing site. This is what's called the Hadley Rill, which is a collapsed volcanic tube. Nobody knows this. Could be, ET's got a load of JCBs up there on a train. Could be any explanation. But this is the landing site, and from the ground, this is what it looks like, with this mountain in the background. This is Mount Hadley Delta. The film is 13,500 foot high. All right. From the landing craft to the top of that mountain is about 7 miles. check this out. US Geological Survey has very accurate maps showing all these features on the lunar surface with measurements. Now, if you're 7 miles away from a location and the mountain should be about 2 miles vertically above you, on Earth, this is what it would look like. Mount Everest is 29,000 feet. Everest Base Camp is about 19,000 feet. So 2 miles vertically above base camp, it's about 7 miles. As the crow flies, it's the beginning crows flying over near Mount Everest. So it's the same relative positions as that. Does it look like it? And why is there a very distinct line between the foreground image here and the background? They're using the best lenses, Hasselblad lenses, Hasselblad photograph. But the background goes into sort of blurry nonsense. You can't see any detail at all. Mount Everest, you can see the detail you expect to see. So the previous image is a fabrication. Here's a mystery. This is Dave Scott, photographed by Jim Irwin. Dave Scott, he's got the camera on his chest. The next image, and I've checked these numbers to make sure they are consecutive, and they are. The next image is Jim Irwin, photographed by Dave Scott. He hasn't got a camera. Anomaly. Because they didn't take the camera off and hand it over to the next one. Where's the flag? Flag's first thing erected, similar to the previous image. But in this photograph, here's the flag's, where's it gone? Memo to set dresser. Memo the flag. But this just illustrates the anomaly about the lunar rover. The little car, you know that car cost $60 million. There's 3 of them. They're on the moon. And they could drive, we're told, as far as the electric car can drive today. And this was the mid-1960s. It was developed by the Boeing Aircraft Corporation and General Motors. Right. Any astronomers here? Okay, I've got a question. If you want to pass it on in astronomy, this is the Apollo 17 landing site. More or less, this is the valley that they landed on. This is Apollo 11 landing. This is the Terminator, the difference between light and dark, on a circular body. We've got it on Earth, it's called dust. Where is it in this photograph? It should be a Terminator. Shadow lengths are the same or similar, not visible. The famous photograph of Apollo 17 of the Earth here, the Earth here. How did he take that photograph? With no viewfinder. I tried to do it. Tried to recreate it. The person flag, the moon. With no viewfinder, it's very hard to do it once. That's all they did. They had magic on the moon. This indicates what is likely to be the screen in the background, front screen projection, which is a known cinema technique, where you enhance the contrast. This is the type of artifact you get, which indicates that they were using front projection. Right, in that photograph is the lunar lander on Apollo 17. Can you see it? No, you won't be able to. But it is there. And just to show, enlarging that photograph, there's the lunar lander. In that photograph, it's huge. It's a huge. That's what we just looked at. The big photograph here is what we just looked at. But there are other photographs showing the lunar lander with this feature identical in each of the 3 photographs. These are other features which are identical in the photographs, the little crater. The lunar lander was not supposed to have been moved once it got onto the lunar surface. But it jumps around all over the place. That's the lander. What's it doing over here? And these features are the same. This is ridiculous. And we're expected to believe it, and we go along with it. If you want to believe man landed on the moon, please go ahead and do so. I believe in three things: Father Christmas, the Tooth Fairy, and Easter Bunny. For everything else, I want evidence. This is not evidence. I want the lunar rover here. Again, it shows there's a God. The lunar rover that magically leaves no tracks when it's parked. When it drives around, we see it leaving tracks. You'd expect something weighing on Earth 450 pounds, on the moon about 60 more than 70 pounds. You expect it to leave a few tracks. There are footprints there. Well, there are no tracks in front of it or behind it. Anomaly. This is what the tracks look like. The trouble is 1342047, and then 6 photographs later, we have the tracks, or did they change the time, make it a different track? Herringbone pattern as opposed to square cut. Again, anomaly, different. When Apollo 17 or any of them took off, they took off, and this was filmed from the camera mounted on the lunar rover, controlled from Earth by Ed Pendle, who was operating the camera on a 2.5-second time delay. And they got it to launch by pressing button A on launch, presumably, because suddenly it leaps up off the Earth. Where's the rocket thrust? Using hyperconic fuel, which is the same as used on the space shuttle, which is visible in space, but there's none visible here. And if you look at the launch pad, this is the lower section of the Apollo 17 Apollo round. Where did the exhaust go? That's not a hole. It's a flat surface. If you fire a 4,500-pound rocket literally underneath you, with nowhere for the exhaust to go, guess what? You're toast. You're dead. You're gone. But there's magic on the moon. And Apollo 17 launched with nowhere for the exhaust to go. This is a photograph that Ben showed yesterday. It's a photograph most people are familiar with. You can always tell it's got a little triangle of light over the sun. It's the only photograph of the Earth from space. Everything else is a computer image. When you're coming back to Earth, you come back in your capsule and you've got to have a heat shield to stop you frying. Because the frictional forces of the atmosphere, when you get 60 miles up, don't forget, you're traveling 25,000 miles an hour, you've got to slow down. So use a heat shield, use the friction of the atmosphere to do it. What temperature is that heat shield achieve? It's 2,700 degrees centigrade. Come back in just a minute. Let's have a look at the Russians, who should have blown the whistle, surely, if this was all going on. No, they didn't. We've got the moon rocks. Piece of moon rock. You want to see a piece of moon rock? Piece of moon rock. It's called Breccia. That's a piece of moon rock. And the reflectors, oh, good heavens. The reflectors on the moon, you don't need them. MIT, a pretty good scientific organization, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, were firing lasers at the moon in 1962 and getting a reflection back and picked up on a big receiving dish. The Crimea Astrophysical Laboratory, Crimea, i.e. Soviet Union, were doing the same thing in 1962. The British Army were firing radar at the moon and getting a reflection. You don't need a stupid reflector here on the moon, put there by astronauts who weren't there in the first place, to get a laser to reflect back. You just fire it at the moon, it comes back. The Russians didn't blow the whistle because they had far more important things to worry about. We've heard quite a lot about the Russian natural gas reserves. They're being exported into Europe because Russia has very few natural resources, but it has an abundance of gas, and it comes into Europe. And the contract to supply the first deal was signed in 1968 between Hungary, Gromyko, and West Germany, as it was then, Austria, and Italy. So they weren't going to call time on some ridiculous photographs that America said were taken on the moon, and they had far more important things to worry about. Famous rock, the Rijksmuseum looked at when they did their renovation, and it's fake, it's a piece of wood. Ah, I hear you say, well, they're taking photographs of the land that's on the lunar surface. Yes, that's what they told us they've done. But they need a whacking grey arrow to show anything in the photograph. If you go to Google Earth, you look at your own house, you look at the car parked outside your house, you can see that it's got a sunroof, which way the car is pointing. You can probably see some nice chairs in your garden. You can see quite a lot from the satellite 400 miles up through the atmosphere of Earth. But this is 60 miles up. You can't see more than 2 pixels from a high-tech orbiting satellite. I don't believe it. My photophone not to. A photograph taken on the moon. This was done by the Lunar Orbiter in 1966. It's not an impact crater, by the way, Copernicus, or most of the other flat bottom craters. They're electrical discharge craters. That's an impact crater on Earth, Arizona, meteor crater. And the bottom one is what happens when you let a nuclear bomb off. It makes a crater too. On the moon, this photograph is the only one I've found for many years. It shows an object moving across the lunar surface taken in 1966, i.e. before any alleged landings. There are 2 objects here, one here, small one here, big one. I don't know what they are, but they are leaving a track which is identifiable. Anyway, it's a meteor crater on the left-hand corner of the moon. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter went out. I thought I could find that image again if it exists. It does exist. There it is 50 years later. Sun angle is different, but I don't know what it is. I know what I think it is, but let's not go there. We've got to get back to Earth. We're coming in. So, if you're going to have a heat shield, which is on the bottom here, you don't need one on the side here, because you've got all these nice aluminium panels which melt at 600 degrees. But yes, strange, on the latest Orion mission, they've got heat shield all over it, as if they were expecting the thing to be damaged by re-entry. That was flown in December 2014. It hasn't flown since, because the heat shield on the bottom is demonstrated to be incapable of protecting any humans inside. That's the one you can see in the Science Museum today. And this is the alleged new development. There's some NASA are beginning to find out that Apollo was a myth, and it's been a big detriment and drag on space exploration. And here are the 3 naughty little schoolboys caught smoking behind the sheds who allegedly landed on the moon. Don't you think they might be a bit more cheerful? But no, they're being asked for the world press. They really don't have to. Getting to the moon really isn't a problem. It's quite easy. We've done many times. It's getting humans there and back again. That's the hard part. That's what I can tell you has never happened. Humans on the moon. Well, I'm an astronaut 4 on this one. 4 right. Because that's who I think had a lot to do with it. All this. The stock in trade was fantasy, and that is what Apollo is. Apollo is that fantasy. That's a website I could recommend if you want hours and hours of good reading about it. You want to see lots of YouTube films, moonpaper.com, it's Australian, it's Gary White. Takes on anybody who disagrees with his contention, which is the same as mine, that we never landed on the moon. haven't covered Apollo 13, which was actually the capsule came down in the Atlantic. It was recovered by the Soviet Navy, taken to the MAX, picked up by Americans, and brought back to now display in the museum in Kansas. You haven't heard that story? No, you don't know. The photographs of it in the MAX, being handed over. Apollo command module. Leave here without Nexus and you're uninformed because Nexus covers all the solar cycle. We'll understand that. Thank you very much for your attention.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Hopefully, it's made you think again if you were ever bought the official story of the Apollo moon landings. We'll talk to Mark. We're going to have to take a little break now. But do go. Let's check out Mark's store. Pick up a copy of that magazine. I'm a reader myself. I really recommend it. Now, please be back here in half an hour for the next event. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
If they know you're thinking of stuff and you're saying that, you're talking about frequency. Right. Well, I
During the it helps.
Any questions? No, I understand. I know. I'm curious. I just,
not the first part of the
yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Will we read those two? Very famous. What part is it? Give you an address. There is one. Should be, I might be down to 11. He's going to work. That's it. All right, mate.
Yeah. To be honest, it's not one of the biggest because to me it's the least interesting. I'm looking for the rules change. So much more.